Good morning everyone. My name is Professor Sudke SS of SND COE and Research Center, Evla, working as Assistant Professor at Department of Electrical Engineering. Today we will discuss the topic of the subject, that is Advanced Microcontroller and Embedded System, of Unit 1, that is Introduction. In this unit, we will discuss the topic of header and source files in detail. First of all, we see the point, that is header and source files. A header file is a file with extension .h which contains C function declarations and macro definitions to be shared between several source files. There are two types of header files: the files that the programmer writes and the files that comes with your compiler. Usually header files contain declarations, source files contain code. So if in source file a.c, source file a.c, you need a function implemented in source file b.c. You just include b.h to have its declaration. Show activity on this post. Then what is a header file in C? A header file is a file with extension .h which contains C function declarations in the computer system and saved as .h at the last of the file name in the computer system of any file or folder, and macro definitions to be shared between several source files. There are two types of header files: the files that the programmer writes and the files that comes with your compiler. These are the two types of the header files which are useful in computer system and in C programming language. Then what should be included in the header file of a program? A simple practice in C or C++ programs is that we keep all the constants, macros, system-wide global variables and function prototypes in the header files and include that header file wherever it is required. So we discuss some question and answers about the header file, that what should be included in the header file of the program in the computer system. First is, what is the purpose of the header file search form? This form is used for system header files. It searches for a file named file in a standard list of system directories. Then you can prepend directories to this list with the one option while compiling your source code. This form is used for header files of your own program. Then what to put in headers? The minimal set of hash include directives that are needed to make the header compilable when the header is included in some source file. Processor symbol definitions of this that need to be shared and that can only accomplish via the preprocessor. Even in C, preprocessor symbols are best kept to a minimum. Forward declarations of structures that are needed to make the structure definitions, function prototypes and global variable declarations in the body of the header compilable. Then definitions of data structures and enumerations that are shared amongst multiple source files, declarations for functions and variables whose definitions will be visible to the linker, inline function definitions, but take care here. Then what does not belong in a header? Header files used in a computer system. Gratitudes hash include directives. Those gratitudes includes pause recompilation of things that don't need to be recompiled and can at times make it so a system can't compile. Then don't hash include a file in a header if the header itself doesn't need that other header file. Then preprocessor symbols whose intent could be accomplished by some mechanism, any mechanism other than the preprocessor. Then lots and lots of structure definitions. Then split those up into separate headers. Then inline definitions of functions that require an additional hash include that are subject to change or that are too big. Those inline functions should have little if any fan out, and if they do have fan out, it should be localized to stuff defined in the header. Then source files. We discuss some question and answers for getting the idea about the source files which are used in the computer system. First is, what is a source file? In an operation system, a source file is a sequence of procedures and functions. Here, an object file is organized into blocks so that they are understandable by the machine. It also contains a code that supports these file structures. Then second one is, what are source files and why should you care? Source files are the files you, the designer, have used to create your designs. The more well-known files include Adobe's Photoshop, Illustrator and InDesign. Thank you.